And Nancy Cordes joins me now here inside the Wells Fargo Center. Nancy, and so we see it again. It is the job at the convention of the candidate's spouse to humanize said candidate. In this case, it was Bill Clinton looking to do that for his wife. How effective was he last night?
Well, he made a case that you hear behind the scenes a lot from campaign aides, from her supporters, that they feel that the real Hillary Clinton has kind of been obscured by this cartoon image, this villain that Republicans have created over the past couple of decades. And so the fact that he made that argument publicly and said to the audience, both there and at home, you have a choice to make. You can either believe that Hillary Clinton is the person I'm describing to you, or you can believe that she's the person who Republicans are describing. The reality is it's somewhere in the middle. He's obviously going to make the best case for his wife. Republicans are going to make the opposite case. But the fact that he made it, Democrats believe, is important. It's an important step.
And he looked to do something that he perhaps does without peer, discussing specific policy objectives and stances in a folksy manner that is easily digestible, but also interesting. And I realize this is unscientific, but social media certainly seemed to take issue to a degree with the messenger here in describing what has been, if nothing else, a very public relationship.
Right. There was a little bit of dissonance listening to the tale of their courtship and their marriage when everyone in this room is well aware of his failings in this marriage over a long period of time. But I think that there was also a sense that if he were to acknowledge that and bring that up, that would really have overshadowed the message that that's what you would be hearing in sound bites all day long today, is Bill Clinton talking about his failings and not about his wife's strengths. And so they kind of let that lie.
Let that breathe. Right. Well, and you know, she is running the GOP would like you to believe against the ultimate outsider. So it was also interesting, the inflection point of the speech. She is the best darn change maker I have ever known. Can that be effective when you're describing Hillary Clinton?
I think it has to be. I think that Democrats have to make that case because she's not going to be the outsider. And she's not making the case for major radical change like Bernie Sanders was, or even in some ways the way that Donald Trump is. The case that Bill Clinton has been making this entire campaign, because he's been talking about her being a change maker for months, is that, look, it's great to talk about change. It's great to have huge, lofty goals and say that, you know, you want to transform this country. But if you can't actually grind it out, if you don't have the doggedness and the relationships and the smarts to actually do it, then it's meaningless. And so he's making the case, and he's got lots of data points that he's using to try to back this up, that, you know, she may not be the person who's saying we're going to transform everything tomorrow, but she is saying I want to get from point A to point B, and I have a plan to do that.
We still also saw dissatisfaction on the part of Bernie Sanders supporters yesterday, despite the optics of unity here. It was the Vermont senator who at the end moved to nominate Hillary Clinton by acclamation. Certainly the roll call seemed another ceremonial trip through the impact of the movement, if nothing else, as delegates were cast for the Vermont senator. But you talked to some Sanders supporters, some of whom, in fact, walked out at times last night, staging sit-ins. What were their reactions?
You know, there is a segment of the Sanders delegation here in Philadelphia that is simply never going to believe that Hillary Clinton won this primary fair and square. They think that the DNC put its thumb on the scale for her, doing things like limiting the number of debates, holding them on weekends, even though, you know, that wasn't really the DNC that was in charge of deciding what day of the week these debates would take place. Usually that was the networks. But you know, they're angry. And while there are many Bernie Sanders supporters who stayed in the room and cheered for Hillary Clinton and acknowledged the historic nature of the moment, there is a core of his most loyal supporters, and those are the people who are here, who are simply here for no other reason than to show that they are behind him no matter what.
I'm going to get you out of here on this one. Do you also feel as though, and certainly Bernie Sanders, somebody who especially energized young voters, they came out for him in droves, and the percentages speak to that.
Right.
Does it is it also perhaps possible here that they are angry at their own candidate for capitulating, and that while they cannot bring themselves to say that, it's an anger then that has nowhere else to go?
I think that they are frustrated. And, you saw it the other night when Elizabeth Warren, who's another progressive hero, took the stage and they were chanting, "We trusted you." To these young voters, they don't see it as a choice between Democrat and Republican. They see it as a choice between a principled revolution and the status quo. They see Hillary Clinton as the status quo. They see her as someone who's taken big money from Wall Street. They see her as someone who is part of the establishment and the old guard. And so these are not people who are longtime Democrats who, are the type of people who would say, look, you just got to get behind the party now, and we got to work together to defeat Donald Trump. Maybe they'll do it in the end. If polls show that 90% of Sanders supporters already plan to vote for Hillary Clinton in November. But he brought a lot of people into the party who weren't there before, and you're going to have a variety of views no matter what. And
they are just the voters this campaign is going to need. So I guess let the outreach begin. Nancy Cordes, as always, we appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.